Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Tony and this is TC's Outdoors. And as you see from the thumbnail, I got some unfortunate news from Central Boiler the other day. So if you don't know, I heat with a Classic Edge 350 Central Boiler, and they're pretty finicky about maintaining your 25-year warranty on the firebox and the heat exchanger. I chose a Central Boiler because of that warranty, so I want to make sure that I do what I have to be able to maintain that warranty. So every year I have to send them a water sample, and they check the levels of the corrosion inhibitor in there, and it's a Molly Armor 350 is what I use. It's the Central Boiler brand, which they're also very finicky about. You must use their stuff in order to maintain the warranty. So I sent the water sample out to them, and when I took the sample, I knew I was kind of on the edge as far as my parts per million in the water. You need to be at 350 or above, and I thought it looked pretty okay on the color chart, but when they did their lab tests, I actually was about 200 parts per million, so I've got to add some, and I've got to send them another sample in order to keep the warranty running. So I've already added some Molly Armor 350. I just climb up a ladder, pour it on top of the tank there right in the vent, and I added about a half a gallon. 1 gallon treats 200 gallons of water, so I don't need to come up that high. So hopefully the half a gallon I put in there will be enough. We're going to let it circulate, and I also need to clean the ash out of the bottom. So it's been running since October, and I haven't cleaned out the bottom yet, or the heat exchanger. So we'll do that real quick, and I also want to show you what I do to the dampers when I clean those. So I had a question. I've had some trouble in the past, and one of my past videos, I had a question actually this morning asking about their boiler, and they've got issues. So I kind of want to go over a few things that I've had issues with, and hopefully it helps somebody out there. All right, so I came out here earlier and stirred up the firebox really well. There's not much in there, a little bit of coal bed and a few pieces of wood. I'm not going to clean the ash and the coals that are in the firebox. I'm going to leave that all in there. I'm mostly just focused on the bottom, the back of the chimney, and the heat exchanger. So the first step is going to be to turn the boiler off. All right, so you just push and hold the power button. Hopefully you can see that. And now we're off. So as you can see, I've got the gasification chamber door open, and we're pretty full of ashes, so definitely needs to be cleaned out. Not that I'm having any issues, it's running just fine. So I just put my ashes in this steel garbage can, and once the year's over, I dump it somewhere, sometimes in the garden, sometimes in the woods. It is a good idea to wear a respirator when you're doing this. There's a lot of fine dust, ash flying around, so I'm going to put mine on. So in the back of the boiler, you have this panel right here. You just lift up on it, it slides out. There's 2 tabs on the bottom to hold it. I put 2 screws up over there. Just gives me some place to hang it, nice out of the way. So then you lift up on these 2 handles here, and this door opens up. And try not to breathe the ash. The heat exchanger is right inside here. So these heat exchangers right here, once I get my respirator on, I'm going to clean those out, but for the sake of just kind of talking you through it real fast, I just take the supplied tool that comes with it to scrape the creosote with, scrape up and down. You do have to be conscious though, because they don't just stop here. They do go up to here into the chimney, so you have to make sure that you run it up inside there to make sure you knock down everything that might be blocking the path to the chimney. I'll also take this chimney cap off once I get going, and we'll clean out any kind of ash and stuff that's deposited down in the bottom here, and then we will be good to go. Okay, so that portion of the clean out is pretty straightforward. You're just getting rid of the ash. The biggest thing is to, like I said, make sure that the exhaust through the heat exchangers is clear. I would do this probably every month and a half or so. If you're burning a ton, maybe every month, but we haven't had very much cold weather, so I haven't burned a ton of wood. So last thing that I want to cover though is behind here. So there's two screws that hold this cover on. You take those out, you just lift up on it, and then you can take this is just a, I don't know, a decorative cover basically, and inside of here is where the dampers are and the blower motor. The air inlet's over here, and so you just pull these two tabs here, and this is the primary air charge. This is the one that runs the first until you're up to about 550 degrees, and this secondary comes on, and this is what ignites or adds more oxygen to the reburn, the gasification process. So what I've had trouble with is the primary. I'll throw a link in right now, but I've had to replace the stepper motor, and I think mostly because of operator error. So in the beginning I was burning wet wood and I didn't really understand how this all works, and but you see how that lid's nice and free? There's not any creosote buildup in there. What was happening is this was getting full of creosote. As it sits and smolders, the smoke settles, and if there's a lot of moisture left in the wood, you get a big creosote buildup, and this gets all gummed up. And so the motor was having to work a lot harder than it's designed to in order to open and close that damper the right way. So it failed. Probably a year and a half or so. I wouldn't blame the manufacturer in any way. Definitely operator error. If anything, a video like this would have helped me along the way. So you definitely want to use seasoned firewood. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. With a gasification unit like this, you definitely can't use wet wood. So you have to open this up. You make sure this is free. The only tools you really need here is I have it's like a multi screwdriver with a nut driver. So I just take the bit out, and there's one hose clamp back here, and you can loosen that up, and then you just unplug that blower. So you get the blower unplugged, got it loosened, and you pull that out. And another problem I've had, so this might go to the question I had this morning. I've had this silicone that's, if you see around the top of this lid, the silicone was actually, it had failed, and it was allowing the smoke to come up. So when this thing sits idle, see there's a big glob of creosote in there right now we're gonna dig out. This thing sits idle, and the smoke settles down in here, and then eventually it weeps out. I had this chain get so covered in creosote that it was stiff, so it couldn't move like it was supposed to. So when the motor tries to turn, it wouldn't lift the lid because the slack, I don't know how to explain it correctly, but either way, the smoke on the chain eventually seized the chain up, and I was in a bad spot. So I cleaned the chain, took it apart, cleaned the chain, re-siliconed the lid inside and out to prevent the creosote from coming up, and that was the last bit of problem I've had, to be honest with you. I'll show you. There is a big lump of creosote just sitting down there in that charge tube. All right, so you see down in there, let me get my little pointer, this right here doesn't belong there. That is just a big glob of creosote that collects down in this air tube, and we need to get it out of there so that it's not blocking the airflow, so, which I'm sure it is. How couldn't it be? So I recommend using tools that you don't really love for this, because as you see, this is covered in creosote and it will be forever. I bought these picks at Harbor Freight. They were like, I don't know, 13 bucks for the set of them, but they're long enough that I can get in here and get a good pull on these things. And I know I'm kind of in your way, but I will show it to you. Look at that thing. It's like a piece of coal, but that's just a big rock of creosote. I don't know if I'm doing anything wrong, or if this just happens to everybody's, but I've definitely cleaned this out a couple times this year, but that's pretty much it. I mean, you can see as I kind of get down in there, it's warm, so it's pliable, but as soon as you pull it out of there, it kind of crystallizes, and then you can just pull it off the pick and do it again. As far as wood being seasoned, this wood was cut and split almost 3 years ago, and it's been undercover for the last, I don't know, 4 months. So I would say that there's really, the moisture content in this wood has to be about as minimal as it gets, and I'm still getting creosote. So I mean, I think this is just the nature of the beast with these gasification stoves, but knowing about it, I think, saves you a ton of heartache, because I had a lot of trouble with this the first couple years, and there's not a lot of videos out here that show kind of the not so exciting parts of having a central boiler or just a gasification stove in general. I'm not sure how the rest of them operate. I don't have any other experience other than with a central boiler, so I'm sure other stoves have similar issues though. And I think we got her about cleaned out in there. Okay, so installation or reinstalling this is pretty straightforward. You just slide it back over the boot and make sure that it's back in there all the way so it's on good. Plug it back in. If you've unplugged both of them, I don't recommend unplugging them both at the same time, because I did that once, and then you got to run the boiler in order to figure out which one is which. But I know that this is the right one, so I just plug that back in. Make sure that the wires aren't in the way of anything. They're not going to catch anything. And before I tighten that down, I just throw my bubble little torpedo level on here, because I would imagine that having these installed level is important. I'm not 100% sure. That's not like in the book anywhere. If it is, I haven't seen it. But and then you just tighten down the hose clamp in the back, and I try to leave it so I can get at it easily. And that's pretty much it. Make sure it's tight. Doesn't move. I'll check the level one more time, and we're good to go. So now that I've got everything closed up, I'm going to turn the boiler back on, power it back up, and I'll set you guys up, and you can watch these things flutter. This is the primary, this is secondary, the fan will blow. It won't really do anything because I have the door wide open, but it'll give you guys a visualization of what's going to happen, or how it all goes together. So you see the primary is opening, because I think the water temperature is low after all of this. Yeah, the water's down to 165, so we're gonna run. So I'm gonna close this door so it gets the air it needs, and we'll come back here once it's rolling. So there you go, we're gasifying 760 degrees in the firebox. We'll take a quick look at that. I'll show you what that looks like now that we're got the blowtorch going. Pretty cool looking in it. So we'll close that. I'm gonna let the water come back up to temperature, and then I'll come back out and get a sample, and I'll show you guys how I test the water, and hopefully I added enough Molly armor and I can get my water sample back off the central boiler. So sorry if this video is running kind of long on you guys, but there's just some of these things that I wish somebody would have showed me along the way, and hopefully the dramatic thumbnail is enough clickbait to get any central boiler owners to take a look at this. So that was my goal with that. I know I'm not really a clickbait kind of guy, or I try not to be, but that was the purpose of that, and hopefully I can spread the word and people know what they're getting into when they buy one of these things. So okay, so the boiler's up to temperature now. Water's been circulating for, I don't know, maybe hour and a half or so. So the way I get my samples, I have these two plastic disposable cups, and this is how you check the level of the water. And you just open this little valve, it fills up that tube. So I pop the cap off of there, and I will just run some out. That way I get a good clean sample, no cobwebs or spiders or anything like that. So and then once I run it for a second, I fill up both cups. They're not really full, but I don't know, get a good little bit in each cup. The water's really hot. So there we go. I have to move. Ooh, that's hot. Wowza. 187. And just close that valve. It drains itself out. Put the cap back over there, and then we go in the garage and we'll give it a test. So here we go. So when you buy the boiler, it comes with these kits, and they're just test strips. So this is for the Molly. So you take one strip out, and just take it and dip it into the water, and it doesn't really say for how long. Drip it off, and then you just match it up to the color chart. So I would say that we're definitely above the 350 mark. So I think we're good as far as my titration of the Molly. And also one other thing I'm going to test while I have it right here is the pH, because the pH has to be between 8 and 9.5. So it comes with these pH strips and then the little color chart. So it's important that you don't use the same water for the pH test and the Molly test. So we'll just put that in there, dip that in there, and we're right around a 9, maybe 8.7, 9-ish, something like that. So pH is good. Okay, so that is pretty much it for the boiler cleaning and the adding of the Molly Armor 350. Hopefully this helps some of you guys out there, and I don't know, that's going to wrap up today's video, but I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch, and take it easy, guys. We'll see you.